Hello, I'm the Doctor.
Hey Who fans, this is the Big Blue Box podcast. Thank you very much for joining me, and this is episode 12. Yes, episode 12. I always forget the episode. I haven't even done that many episodes, and already I'm forgetting what episode we're on. That's crazy. But anyway, this is episode 12, and this is going to be predominantly about Into the Dalek. Hope you guys have been enjoying the first couple of episodes of Series 8 so far. It's been very cool. Thanks once again to Adam from the Geeks Handbag, who joined me on the last episode to talk about Deep Breath. That was very kind of him, and I got some really good feedback from you guys, so I really appreciate that. And in today's show, we're going to change the format up a little bit like I did last time, and I think I'm going to stick with this one while Series 8 is going. So I'm still going to do the news roundup, and instead of TARDIS talk and a retrospective, I'm just going to go into the review of the current episode, which is Into the Dalek in this case. So I think that would be quite cool because it's all about Capaldi and Series 8 at the moment. So I thought it'd be cool to dedicate a chunk of time to that, seeing as that's what's buzzing around Who at the moment. So without further ado, let's crack on with the news. So first up, which has only been released in the last couple of days actually, is Mr. Capaldi, who normally receives a few awards for his acting and, has received an award for his personality. GQ TV Personality of the Year apparently, which is pretty cool. Not often you see stars of Doctor Who winning kind of really popular modern awards like this. Normally they go down as kind of drama awards or TV picks awards or whatever they call it. So for somebody to be pulled out from Doctor Who, which is normally viewed as a bit geeky, a bit nerdy, to win something like GQ is very, very cool, and much deserved because he's a really nice guy. And I think since he took over the role of the Doctor, and he's been in the public eye so much, and he's done a billion interviews and all that kind of stuff, I think it's very cool that's been recognised, and his very cool, comedic yet serious and very knowledgeable personality about all things TV, and obviously Doctor Who has come through and he's been awarded for that, so fair play. And what was another nice touch as well, it was awarded to him, the award was given to him by Jenna Coleman, which is nice, and there's obviously a lot of chemistry, very good chemistry between those guys, so when you see stuff like that happen off the screen as well as on screen, that's always cool. So fair play to Mr. Capaldi. Another step, another notch. His popularity, not just a Doctor, but him as a person and an actor has gone up a notch, which is great. And I think if you speak to anybody around Doctor Who at the moment, any Doctor Who fans or people that have been into the show for a while, or maybe have dipped out of it and want to come back into it and so on, they will, the thought that's echoed around the internet and Twitter very much at the moment is how good Peter Capaldi is as a Doctor, but also just how much of a nice guy he looks off screen. So when you've seen him in these interviews and extras behind the scenes that the BBC have put out and so on, he really does look like such a cool guy. And even though he's like the oldest actor to play the Doctor, which a lot of people think William Hartnell was, but William Hartnell just looked a lot older. But Capaldi is, officially the oldest actor to take on the role. He's got so much youth and youthfulness and playfulness and just excitement about the whole show and stuff. It really does come through, especially when it has those little funny zany moments in the show. So that's very cool. GQ TV Personality of the Year, Mr. Capaldi. Very cool. Next up, you guys who have ordered the 50th anniversary special box sets, either on Blu-ray or DVD from the BBC shop, you have probably received an email. I know I did earlier in the week. I think it was Monday or Tuesday, to say that they had been dispatched. And originally I thought, well, this is going to be quite a bit earlier, because I thought that they were going to be out on the 9th. I think it was the 9th or the 10th of September, something like that. But I got an email through to say that they'd been dispatched. I got really excited and I was like, whoa, it's going to be here pretty soon, because I've ordered a ton of stuff from the BBC shop before and it's always turned up maybe 2 days, possibly 3 days after I've had my dispatch email. But I just wanted to just reassure you guys, if you have had that email from the BBC shop, but you haven't received your anniversary set yet, although we're approaching the end of the week, I'm recording this on Thursday evening, the 4th of September, although we're at the end of the week, the BBC have actually offloaded all of the pre-orders to the couriers, but they've given them strict instructions not to deliver these packages until at the earliest tomorrow. So if you've had the email out already and you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, has it been lost in the post? You know, it's taken quite a while since I had my dispatch confirmation and stuff like that. All it is they've just been a bit they've preempted the rush, if you like, because I think they've pretty much sold most of these box sets and stuff. So I think they just wanted to make sure that the couriers had them early. But I think their system, from what I gather anyway, their warehouse or pick-in or dispatch system, whatever, kicks out an email automatically when it gets loaded onto a courier of some kind. So I think that's what it is. But anyway, the anniversary box set itself looks just fantastic. I know there's been a little bit of grumblings around on Twitter that I've seen where people have decided not to go for it because it's potentially not that great value for money, which I totally disagree with, to be honest with you. I thought before they launched this, because we knew it was coming, there has been some write-ups about this stuff, and we've seen bits and pieces like this before, but we actually did know this one was coming. And before it was announced officially, I imagine this to be around the £50 mark. And when it was released, and it was, I think the Blu-ray, I think I paid, was it £37 or £35 even? And the DVD I think is £29 or £28, something like that. Anyway, I thought that was really good value, because you're getting so much cool stuff in it. I mean, some of the extras are great. The Day of the Doctor, all that stuff that's like the something of the Doctor. So the Paul McGann stuff. You're getting the five-ish Doctors reboot, which is awesome. You're getting the proms, loads of cool stuff, and the actual packaging itself looks really nice as well. I really like how they've done the kind of Gallifreyan symbols on this wooden box kind of thing. It looks really cool. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to do. I've got a load of stuff here on the subject of like merchandise and stuff like that. I've got a load of Who stuff recently, which I haven't actually done reviews for, but I'm thinking of possibly doing some video reviews for that. So though they're coming up, or they'll just be blog posts on the website. So I'll keep you guys informed on that. But I'll definitely put a review of this one up pretty soon, because I think it's going to be a really, really cool set. So I think some people might get them tomorrow, Friday the 5th of September, whereas other people, it might come through possibly next week, Monday, maybe even, I don't know. But yeah, the BBC have sent them out already. If you've pre-ordered from the BBC shop, it's on its way to you, because they've all been sent out. If you've ordered them from somewhere like Amazon or Zavi or wherever it is, I can't comment on that, because yeah, I don't know. So 50th anniversary box set on its way. Yay. And next bit of news. This one is this one's one of those things where there's been a rumor kicking around on the internet for a little bit, and then somebody comments on it, and then it just gets kicked to the ground, and everybody can just relax. For listeners out there who really don't like Stephen Moffat, this was potentially very good news for you guys, because he's been saying for a while that he's written a chunk of stuff already for Series 9, but there's been no talk whatsoever of anything past that point for Stephen Moffat. So it was kind of in the pipeline that he would step down and be replaced by somebody else. So those guys, I mean, the amount of people that I follow on Twitter that absolutely hate Stephen Moffat for some I don't know where so much hatred has come from, but for you guys that were really hoping for him to be replaced, this rumour would have made you really happy. But then literally within the last, I think it's day or two, or in the last few days, this rumour has been quashed. So you're going to have to put up with him for a bit longer maybe. But there was, like I said, there was some rumours going around for a while that he was going to be replaced after maybe after season 8, but definitely after season 9. And you guys may know this name, a guy called Philip Morris, who is kind of commander-in-chief of recovering the missing episodes of Doctor Who. He actually publicly said that Stephen Moffat would be replaced, and his replacement would be a guy called Anthony Horowitz. And everybody jumped up on this and said, yay, this is great news for Doctor Who because Stephen Moffat's going and blah, 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 and X, Y, Z. And, I wasn't, I was not really feeling either way about it, really. I for the most part, I enjoy Stephen Moffat's writing. I enjoy what he's done for the show. For the most part, don't get me wrong, there are certain things that he's done that, have not sat pretty with me. There are certain things that he's done that I felt have been unnecessary and have been like wasted storylines and stuff like that. But on the whole, it's Doctor Who has been pretty good. I mean, season, oh God, every episode I've said season. I'm going to have to put a pound in the jar again. Bloody hell. Right. Since series 5, which in my opinion was one of the best series that has been written since Moffat took over, we haven't really had it that bad, have we, in terms of Doctor Who writing? We've had some dodgy episodes. It's been up and down a little bit. And even though for me personally, my favourite era of Doctor Who since it came back is still the Russell T Davies stuff, I really enjoy some of the episodes with Matt Smith that Stephen Moffat's wrote. And, just for him to be bashed and slated and stuff, it's a bit... I've said this before many times. I'm pretty sure that all of the Doctor Who fans that are directing all their hatred and bashing Stephen Moffat all the time, I'm pretty sure they'd be more pissed off if Doctor Who was just cancelled and wasn't on the TV anymore. I'm pretty sure they'd have something to say about it then. So, I think we should cut the guy a little bit of slack and realise that he's done some good things for the show. Anyway, this guy, Anthony Horowitz, was supposedly... this guy, Philip Morris, said that he was definitely going to take over from Moffat. So although Moffat has apparently put down quite a large chunk of material for season 9 already, because he's actually quoted saying that he's already worked out the cliffhanger and, nobody's going to see it coming and stuff like that. There's been absolutely no chit-chat whatsoever about Series 10. So anything past Series 9 hasn't got Stephen Moffat's name on it. So it's potentially open for debate whether he'll step down, whether he'll move on, and who's going to replace him. Nobody really knows. But the guy who Philip Morris claims is going to take over, Anthony Horowitz, he has actually come out now on Twitter and said, no, not going to be me. I deny that. Don't know what that's about. So whether that's a little bit of publicity, I'm not too sure. Whether the guy is taken over, but he can't say anything yet because he's bound to secrecy, I don't know. But it would be a slightly odd choice, I will be honest with you. Anthony Horowitz has done mainly kind of very serious mostly crime dramas and stuff for TV. Things like Midsummer Murders, Murder Most Horrid, Foyle's War, which, and some other crime things as well. So he hasn't really done any sci-fi as such. Hasn't really dipped his toe in the water to do much TV in that genre with Doctor Who. That's not to say that he would be bad at the job or anything like that, but you'd expect somebody, especially as the showrunner, somebody that's going to take over and put the show in a new direction and push it forward, you'd expect them to at least have some experience with that genre on TV. So like TV, sci-fi, and whatever you like. So yeah, Anthony Horowitz, for me, I hadn't really heard it. I'd heard the name before, but I hadn't really, I had to look him up online to see what he was about and stuff. But one interesting fact is that he directed some shows. So one of my favourite TV shows that was on donkeys years ago, called Robin of Sherwood. I don't know if you guys remember that. I think it was back in the 80s, the late 80s or early 90s, something like that. And it was one of my fave shows. I really love that show. And kind of a weird link, because this week's episode of Doctor Who is Robot of Sherwood. So that's kind of weird. But anyway, that's not going to happen. And we don't know if Moffat is going to be replaced and who is going to step into his shoes. Any answers on a postcard? Let us know. Why don't you tell me who you think should take over? Why don't you just fire me a tweet at Big Blue Box PCast? Just let me know who you think should take over. Any good suggestions? I'll ring up my guys at the BBC and let them know. Cool. And last bit of news, it's not really kind of a news thing, but I thought this was worth mentioning. And that is the convention. Some cool conventions coming up, which is going to feature a load of cast from Who, old and new. And this isn't a specific Doctor Who convention. This is just a generic sci-fi movies and TVs convention. You've probably heard of them before. They're run by a company called Showmasters, and they do things like Collectomania, Comic-Con and all that kind of stuff. But there's two conventions coming up later in the year, and they feature some very cool Doctor Who peeps. And these conventions run by Showmasters are very cool because they're typically either free entry, or it's only I think it's like a £5 maximum on the door. And then when you get in, you've got free reign to look around. So free reign to go around all the stalls. There's normally like hundreds, or well, that's probably over exaggeration. There's quite a few stalls because they have like big arenas, and they've always got loads of cool merchandise, like loads of Doctor Who collectibles and merchandise and stuff. But you can also pay a bit of dosh and have a signed picture and sometimes a photo with stars that are there. And they're there most of the day. You just queue up, pay your dosh. And those of you that have been to conventions, you know the joy, you know how this works. But if you haven't been to a convention before, it's really good. Get yourself over there. You essentially just mix and mingle with other fans. There's loads of really cool cosplayers there, loads of good costumes. But for me, I really enjoy just walking the floor. I really enjoy just walking around, looking at all the cosplayers, checking out all the stuff that's on the stalls, because you can find some really good stuff there. They've got people selling brand new stuff that you would potentially find online on the BBC shop or Amazon. But they've also got some older collectible stuff as well, things that you might have seen online maybe a few years ago and missed it. I remember being at a convention last year or the year before and finding a couple of really cool Doctor Who notepads that I wanted to pick up at the time but didn't, and they got discontinued, but I got them. A Doctor Who wallet. I think I picked up a couple of Star Wars t-shirts. Things that I'd seen online, which I didn't get around to ordering, or I just forgot at the time. And then when I wanted to get them, they've been discontinued, but I found them there. So there's some really cool stuff. Anyway, there's two conventions that I want to mention. The first one is the Winter London Film and Comic-Con. And this is in London. This is Earls Court 2. And it's on Saturday the 18th and Sunday the 19th of October. So not too long to wait. But they have got a few cool people there from some classic Who. We've got John, how do you say his surname? Is it Levine? Yes, must be. Yeah, so we've got John Levine, Fraser Hines, Wendy Padbury, Nicola Bryan, and Mr. Colin Baker. So you'll be able to meet all of those guys there if you so please. But there'll be loads of other cool Doctor Who stuff going on as well. So that's Winter London Film and Comic Con, Earls Court 2 in October. And the second one is in Cardiff. So Cardiff Comic Con, run by the same people, Showmasters. And it's at the Motorpoint Arena on Saturday the 8th and Sunday the 9th of November. So this would be a cool one to tie in with the Doctor Who experience if you wanted to do the whole Doctor Who weekend and go and visit some of the locations where they've filmed either Who or Torchwood, whatever. And yeah, so that would be ideal for me. And I'm thinking of doing this as well because the Doctor Who experience would have been updated by that point. So I think I'm right in saying that they would have got rid of the Matt Smith kind of interactive intro part to it, and has been replaced with, I'm guessing and assuming that it's going to be replaced with some Peter Capaldi footage and that sort of thing. I don't really know. I haven't really seen anything about it yet. I think it's being done some point this month in September. Yeah, so I think I remember seeing an email from the guys who run the tickets for that to say if you wanted to see the Matt Smith stuff, you'll have to go before a certain date. And I think it's some point this month. So anyway, get yourself over to Cardiff. I mean, even the trip to Cardiff alone is worth it because it's such a great town. It's a really cool city, a lovely place. And if you can do, what would be ideal for you is to go and do Comic-Con on Saturday the 8th of November and then do the Doctor Who experience the next day on the Sunday. And I can tell you Cardiff will be really buzzing that weekend because you always get loads of cool fans and stuff going to the experience anyway because it's around the Bay area. And you've got like the big Torchwood entrance and all that kind of stuff. And it's just really cool. But if you couple that with the Cardiff Comic-Con, you're going to have loads of cool stuff going on, loads of cool people. Anyway, people that are going to be at this one, you've got Louise Jameson, Bonnie Langford, John Levine again. You've got Noel Clarke, aka Mickey, and you've got Sylvester McCoy. Now they haven't announced all of the guests for this one just yet, but they normally put them all on there like within like a few days of each other. So you go onto the site and refresh it, and then all of a sudden you've got what was 10 guests announced, you've now got like 25. And normally Colin Baker gets around to a lot of these conventions. He loves doing these. And I'm pretty sure there's probably going to be another couple of Doctor Who people named extra names on this list as well before the convention. So if you just do a search for online, if you just do a search for Collectormania, because that seems to bring you in on the portal, or if you just do a direct search for London Film and Comic Con or Cardiff Comic Con, you'll find it. And just keep updated on there what's going on. But I promise you, it will be the winter London one, that'll be quite cool. And I'm pretty sure they're going to put another couple of people on there as well. But for me, the Cardiff one will be awesome. So it might be cool actually to arrange maybe a meet-up of some sort. If you guys are up for it, maybe we could do a Doctor Who weekend in November. So let me know if you're up for that. So yeah, that's Cardiff Comic-Con. And that wraps up the news. And now we're just going to go straight into our review segment, which is going to be for Into the Dalek. Into the Dalek, episode 2 of series 8. First impressions, I thought it was on a very similar level to Deep Breath, if I'm honest with you. And I kind of chatted with some people online about this over the last few days, and I found that my kind of review and my thoughts on the Doctor and the episode, because it seems to be that's quite the thing to do at the moment, where people, when they're reviewing these new episodes, for the first two anyway, it's a case of they're kind of splitting their review into two. They've got their review of the episode and then their review of Peter Capaldi as the Doctor. So that's what I did for Deep Breath in the last episode. So I think I'm going to stick with that formula. It's working quite well. And so first impressions, I really, really liked it. I'm really liking this new direction where they're taking the Doctor, and it just feels, I mean, before we dive too much into the story and stuff, just very top line, it just feels different. It feels like a much needed change is upon us, and it also feels like we're being taken more. We're being taken on a journey with the Doctor. You know, we're kind of, it's one of those things. I think it's just because the first couple of episodes have been very well written around the Doctor's new character. New character? No, he's the same character, isn't he? That's worded wrong. I think because the journey has now been taken around this new persona, if you like, of the character. And because with the previous Doctors, we've very much been... It's been a case of we're looking... Well, to me anyway, it feels very much like we've looked outwards, inwards to the Doctor Who stories and episodes. Whereas this one, it feels like we're being taken along with the Doctor because he's playing the part so well, and I think it's been written so well for him. It feels like we're doing this journey with him. So, in very similar respect to Deep Breath, I thought this was a very similar ilk in that the Peter Capaldi was absolutely great in it, and the episode was okay. So it's the same for Deep Breath. I thought the episode was okay. It wasn't amazing. The same with this one. It wasn't amazing, but it was good. It was okay. And also, we have to mention Clara again. She was really. I think this is a general consensus, really, that Clara is. I don't know if it's been really emphasised within the direction or the writing for her, or if Jenna Coleman has just taken it upon herself to really put more into the character. I'm not sure, or a combination of the two, but she's really upped her game in terms of putting her emotion through and her acting and stuff. And she's done another cracking episode. I really enjoyed Clara in this one. And I thought that once again it was down to her to kind of save the Doctor and save the day a little bit rather than the other way around, which I really like. I like that about Clara. And I've just got this really horrible feeling that she's not going to be around for much longer. I've just got this feeling in the pit of my stomach that this is going to be the last season that we're going to see Clara. So I think that she's really putting everything into it, and rightly so. So let's move on to the episode itself. We've seen a new character in this one, which is a guy called Danny Pink.
Oh, Clara, you've not met Danny Pink yet. New fella, Mass. Danny. Clara Oswald.
Hey.
English.
Hey, nice to meet you.
You too.
Want to watch yourself round him? Bit of a lady killer. Bird always denies it.
I'm not a lady killer.
See what I mean? Oh, Beth, can I have a word?
Danny Pink. Yeah, it's an interesting character because he was very, very subtly introduced, I found. He was... He wasn't kind of in your face, this is the new guy, this is the new character. And yeah, I'm not sure what to think of him at the moment. He's obviously got some quite dark history going on. He's obviously got some further issues there that I'm sure are going to come to light over the coming series. But I'm not sure what his role is going to be, whether he's going to be some kind of companion figure, because we've seen that many times on Doctor Who in the past, where the Doctor's obviously had two companions with him at times. And yeah, I mean, there were two main points that stuck in my mind after I watched the episode. Well, actually, there was three where it concerns Danny Pink. The first one was, is it going to be a bit of a copy formula where we saw Mickey and Rose? Because Mickey did turn up quite frequently and travel with the Doctor and Rose on a few episodes, and he did play, although he was not really looked upon favourably by the Doctor, he did play the companion role quite a few times alongside Rose. So I'm just worried, are we going to have a bit of a samey situation there where Clara's going to be taking the lead like Rose did, and then this Danny guy is just going to be along for the ride? I'm hoping they don't do that, because obviously that's been done before. The second thing was, is there a significance with his surname? Because one of the soldiers on the ship, actually further down into the story, was another colour as well. So we've got Danny Pink, and the soldier I think was something blue. So is there some significance there? Are the colours relevant in some way? I'm not really sure, but that might be a little bit more thought needed on that, and maybe we'll see something materialise through that. And the third thing was, was there something quite literal about that introduction to him? Because they seem to. It was only literally for half a second, but they seemed to linger and put a little bit of extra space and a bit of emphasis around the phrase "lady killer." Now, is there something important about that? Is that linked to his darker past? Or, I mean, obviously Doctor Who I don't think is going to go too dark. I'm not in any way insinuating that he's some kind of serial killer or some kind of rapist or anything like that at all. I don't want you to think that that I'm thinking along those lines. But is there something significant in that sentence? Because they did repeat that, and they did pause just very, very slightly just around that phrase and that question. So there are a few, I think the way that they've introduced Danny Pink is very, very good, because it has left me with some questions that I've thought about, and that's exactly what you want from a Doctor Who episode. You want to be left thinking about stuff. You want to be left, you want to think about. You don't just want to sit there mindlessly, just looking at your phone while you're watching the episode and not really paying attention. You want to come away from it thinking, well, why did he say that? What was the deal there and stuff like that. So I quite like that, and I'm looking forward to how they develop his character, and whether he's going to be a companion or maybe some kind of foe, maybe some kind of enemy that they've slyly written in. I'm not too sure. And the episode itself, it was, don't get me wrong, it was good. The only thing that I found about it was I found it to be a tad on the predictable side. It wasn't very hard to realise what was going to come around the corner. And the actual idea of, people being shrunk down and then put inside, that idea has been done a couple of times in some big classic movies, and it does work very well. I do like that stuff. It's pure sci-fi. But the thing is with this is, I found it to be very predictable. That's the only word I can describe about it, really. I mean, for the most part, I like the production value. It was done quite well, with the exception of some maybe dodgy CG and stuff like that. It was done fairly well. But I found that the thing with, when at the very beginning, when the Doctor said, introduces Clara to this Dalek, and he's like, he's a Dalek that's turned good, and he can't resist, stuff like that. You knew that at some point that wasn't going to last. There was no way that this Dalek was going to remain good. It just wasn't going to happen. So you knew the outcome. You also knew that Clara was going to have to rein the Doctor in a little bit and potentially save the day as well, which he ended up doing. And you also knew that some of the soldiers were going to die, which he ended up doing. And you also knew that even though the Dalek did, once the Doctor had repaired his radiation leak and that he turned back to being a normal Dalek, you knew that the Doctor would somehow have to convince this Dalek to bring him round, to stop him, doing whatever. You saw that coming as well. And so that's the main thing for me. I kind of saw these things. This makes me sound like a right, I'm not trying to come across as a complete know-it. It really isn't like that at all. I honestly saw these things coming, and I've spoken to a couple of people on Twitter, and they said the same thing. It's like, yeah, we've seen this whole idea before. We've seen what happens. So it isn't just me. We did see these things coming. But there were some things that I really did like about this episode that stood out for me. One was the idea of exploring the inner workings of a Dalek, because all we've seen so far is like the top part of the Dalek, armoured case revealed to see the Dalek itself sitting inside. We had no idea of what was going on. I've got a T-shirt which is like a Haynes manual thing, which kind of has got like a cross dissect of the Dalek, stuff like that. But you don't know how accurate those things are. But when you see, like, when they were shrunk down and they were travelling through the corridors of the Dalek and stuff like that, you kind of saw how things work and the antibodies and all that kind of stuff. That was quite cool. But one thing that I didn't notice until I watched Adam's The Geek's Handbag review on his YouTube channel when he said that the corridors that they were travelling down inside the Dalek looked like exactly the same corridors that they used in the Matt Smith stuff. They were just redressed. I didn't notice that until I watched it the second time, but I think he's right. I think I think those corridors have been reused before. Those sets have been reused in previous episodes. They've just changed the styling and stuff. So that's interesting. And so I really enjoyed the that aspect of it. I also really liked how they played how they played the Doctor's almost like a kind of to-in and throw-in kind of personality in this one, where on one hand you could see that he was genuinely interested and genuinely really wanted to help this Dalek, really wanted to find out, what was the cause of it, how does he repair him, how does he get him back on track. And on the other hand, you saw this very defeatist kind of, I wanted to find out, but now that he's gone bad again, I'm not really bothered, we're all going to die anyway, sort of thing. I really like that kind of question and answer kind of personality, where on one hand he's got this going on, and on the other hand, this is where Clara comes in, and she's such a key character, because although the Doctor he seems to be firing on all cylinders now. Now that he's fully into his regeneration, that's gone and done, and he's his own man. He's still very much. I think he still needs his hand held quite a bit, and there are some really nice little interactions between the Doctor and Clara as well. When he's introducing Clara to the Dalek, I thought that was a really kind of, just the way that he delivers dialogue. Peter Capaldi is so good, and he's got this very serious yet very humorous way of delivering stuff as well. I think that's and that adds to the chemistry between those two as well.
That was quick.
This is Gun Girl. She's got a gun and she's a girl. This is the sort of boss one. Are you the same one as before?
Yes.
I think he's probably her uncle, but they made that up to pass the time while they were talking. This is Clara, not my assistant. She's some other world.
I'm his carer.
Yeah, my carer. She can, so I don't have to.
Doctor,
Hello again?
will you help me?
Will you?
A Dalek so damaged it's turned good. Morality has malfunctioned. How do I resist?
That's so cool at the end there. I really love how he delivers that line. He's got this kind of cheeky look over towards Clara, as if like, you know me. But even though he's like this incarnation of the Doctor, he's got that very kind of, you know how this works. You know what's going to happen now. This is all going to get crazy. So I really like that. Those little... It happened in Deep Breath as well, where the Doctor and Clara just had these little 30-second, 45-second little conversations which were important, direct, yet they were funny. And it really adds to the chemistry of those. So I really enjoyed that. And some other little standout bits. I love the nickname. I love the nickname Rusty. I think that's cool. In a very similar ilk to the way that Matt Smith called the Cyberman head handles. I thought that was quite cute, actually. I mean, I like that kind of stuff. And, this Doctor calling this one Rusty, I thought that was a really nice little touch. And then just to kind of finish off this story, I mean, I like how the Dalek was looking inside the Doctor's feelings or his thoughts, if you like. And I like how it starts off with the Doctor just being this real kind of, portraying this beauty of the universe kind of thing, because with this Dalek Rusty saying that he'd witnessed the birth of a star, and being witness to something as beautiful as that, he also sees that within the Doctor, and you think to yourself, yeah, this is what Doctor Who's all about. And then literally within a split second, it turns really dark, and then you see like the darker side of the Doctor. You see his hatred and stuff like that. And then the Dalek picks up on that immediately, and it just jumps from, this euphoria and this very positive way of thinking to just this darkness and stuff. And I really, that was very cool. I thought that was a great, because they could have They could have not done that. They could have just gone along the light, fluffy BBC route where everything is happy, everything is good, but they're still going down this darker route, and the Doctor taking things into darkness and stuff. So that for me really finished off the episode quite nice. I thought that was very cool. I wasn't too sure about the CG effects around this bit. I thought it looked a bit basic and a little bit low budget, I guess. But then you can't have everything, I suppose. But yeah, so Into the Dalek, the episode. I mean, Peter Capaldi for me, I'm going to give him an 8.5 for this one, because I thought that. I think if we had a longer runtime, like we did with Deep Breath, I think we would have had a bit more opportunity to see some more of his quips and some more of his very witty dialogue and stuff like that. However, I did think, again, he was so good, and I'm going to give him an 8.5. I'm not going to go too crazy with the scores, because I feel that although he has started off very, very well, I think we've still got more good stuff and better things to come from him. So I'm not going to go crazy. I think 8.5 is very cool for the Doctor for this particular episode. And then for the episode itself, I'm going to give it a 7. So it's not amazing. It's certainly not terrible. It's a good story. For me, it was just a little bit predictable. But that's the way with Who. You just have to kind of take it what it is, and get on with it. So I've had a couple of tweets from you guys as I'm recording, so thank you very much for joining me. I'm just going to pick a couple out here. The first one is from a Twitter by the name of Missy, and I'm going to have to look into this one, because it looks like it's either an official Doctor Who, an official BBC Doctor Who account, or somebody's done it very, very well. So the character is Missy, and the Twitter name is @Missy Doctor Who. Doctor is in the full word, not DRWHO. So @Missy Doctor Who. And her Twitter description, by the way, is very cool. It says, "I'm Missy, gatekeeper of the Nethersphere. What else am I? Find out. #Who is Missy? Ask me any questions. I don't own BBC or Doctor Who, or do I? ? And her location is the Nethersphere." So that's very, very cool. I'm going to follow Missy immediately. But she tweeted me to say that in respect to Into the Dalek, she says, "It was a great episode, but my appearance was definitely too short." So I think I'm getting trolled a little bit here by Missy. But yes, in exactly the same way that I did with Deep Breath, I've completely forgotten to mention Missy from Into the Dalek. So let me just rewind a little bit and just say, I think that this is a really interesting thing that they're doing with this Missy character. And there's obviously a connection with, I don't know if it's people that the Doctor has inadvertently killed, or he's let them die at his hands, or they've just died in his presence. I'm not sure, but it seems to be that people who fall into one of those three categories end up in this Nethersphere, or whatever you want to call it, the Promised Land, whatever, having tea and cake with this character Missy. So that's a really interesting thing that they're putting into these episodes, and I'm assuming that it's going to roll like that for a couple more before we see who this Missy character actually is. But that's quite interesting. So thank you very much @Missy Doctor Who for that, and I'm sure that in the coming episodes we will see more of you. And let's pick another one. So this guy, Blue Seer, his Twitter name is @blue_seer, SEER, and he says, "Rusty calling the Doctor a good Dalek nearly broke my heart. He's so troubled, not as simple as Madman with a box anymore." And I think that you've nailed it there, buddy. I think that he very, very isn't just as simple as that. He's very much not the just the bumbling, wacky kind of character who just travels around, ends in trouble and saves the day, and that's your lot. He really isn't that anymore. He has got some very some very big dark issues going on, and I think that the way that we see him handle those things, and the way that we see his relationship with Clara develop around those things, and how he treats other people, is going to be really interesting to watch. But yeah, I was really taken aback by that as well when he called the Doctor a good Dalek. I thought that was a really great touch. That was superb writing. I really enjoyed that. And so you're spot on. And just as we've finished this, Missy at Missy Doctor Who is now following me. So I think I'm going to get trolled pretty hard by this character. So if I'm not around for episode 13 next week, you know where I am. I've ended up in the Nethersphere, having tea and cake with Missy. So that is going to wrap for episode 12. So that is your lot for episode 12. Thank you again very much for joining me. It's been great just sitting here talking away about Doctor Who. And there's no better way to spend your evening, really, is there? You know, I've got some news to go through, my opinions, bits and pieces. And as a Doctor Who fan, this really is very cool. Just sitting here chatting all things Doctor Who. And while I've got you in the outro, I just want to let you know that I'm being trolled by Missy again. I've just got another tweet from her. She just followed me and said, "Hello at Big Blue Box Podcast and welcome to the Nethersphere. What an honour. But you're talking behind my back again, right?" This is scaring me. This is scaring me a little bit. If you guys can jump on and have a look and see what she's about and see if she starts trolling you guys as well, I'd be much appreciated. Go and follow her at Missy Doctor Who. Let me know what you think. I will be back for episode 13, where I'll be giving you some more news and stuff, and giving you my review of Robot of Sherwood, which looks like a really fun, really cool episode. I can't wait for that. So roll on Saturday. Join me on Twitter. Give me a follow. My Twitter name is at Big Blue Box PCast. Come and join me on Facebook, facebook.com/Big Blue Box Podcast. And you can also subscribe to this podcast on iTunes. Just jump onto iTunes and do a search for Big Blue Box Podcast under the podcast section. And if you like this podcast, please do me a favour and give me a rating and a review. That really helps me out. I will see you guys next time. And until then, Alonzi!